Hi, guys. It's Sven from Badass Counseling. So we created the Badass Counseling group on Facebook, and it grew to well over 45,000 members. And we kept getting asked by folks for a support group, a growth group that's more intimate, gives more access to me, Sven, if possible. So the Badass Counseling team got together, and they created Community Plus. For a monthly fee that isn't cheap, you get direct access to me 2 times a month where you can submit your questions directly. Monthly drawings for a small group counseling session with me. Monthly drawings for one-on-one counseling sessions with me. Priority Pass access to go to the front of the waiting list for ongoing counseling with me. Priority Pass access to be considered to be counseled by me on the Badass Counseling Show podcast. Direct access to my top 2 selling video courses, Healing the Soul and Unleashing Your Greatness. Interviews with people who've had success in their soul journey, some well-known and some everyday folks like you and me. And a fantastic opportunity to meet and get to know other men and women who take their healing and growth seriously and who do the work. And a social community feed where folks share their challenges, their struggles, and their triumph. And so much more. So go now to badasscounseling.com. Click on the Community Plus sign-up page for premium content and direct access to me and to like-minded people who are committed to healing, growth, and creating a community of support and happiness.
From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Hello, fine people. This is the Badass Counseling Show. You've reached the lightning round taping of the Badass Counseling Show, and it's great to have you here. Although if you are listening to this on the podcast channel to which you listen, it is no longer a taping. It is just your show. We are taping it live, though, for what that's worth. I am joined in studio by my fine staff of KC over there in the booth, and Rob the Rocket next to me. Rob, what say ye?
Hey, Sven, you know how you often say as a metaphor, it's like holding somebody by the collar while they're punching you?
Yep.
Well, I was reading an article the other day, and it was talking about Thomas Jefferson's famous quote, which I'd never heard before. And his quote along the same lines was, it's like holding a wolf by the ears. You don't like it, but you dare not let go.
Ah.
That works, right?
Now that's interesting. I got to think about that one.
All right. Don't
you
think too
dare
hard.
not let go. Although if you're holding the wolf by the ear, it's not hurting you.
Right, but if you let go,
Then it would hurt you. But
Yes.
mine is I'm holding on to someone's collar while they're punching me in the face.
Right.
So the holding on is actually dangerous. So it's the inversion of
It
my
is,
equation.
right, yeah.
I need to think about that because that can be useful too.
it's a mirror image.
All right. Well, all right. A mirror image. Well, we're getting started here, folks. We are live on 2 platforms tonight because we had a technical difficulty to be blamed not on our technical man, Rob, but to be blamed on me. So we are live. So this is exclusive to all of our faithful followers on Facebook and YouTube. It's great to have you all here. First question comes from Joseph Santa Cruz on Facebook. Whoa, it just jumped on me as that scroller does on TikTok. So here it is. He is saying, can prenups override the law for the 401k being shared? And I'm going to open with I can't answer that question. That is a law question. I am not a lawyer. Furthermore, it's likely going to vary from state to state, Joseph. So I'm going to have to encourage you to talk to a lawyer on that one. And any given lawyer might know more than any given other lawyer. Furthermore, what can be done with a particular judge and worked out, that's completely in the realm of the law. So I got to back out on that one, Joseph. But if you have another question, fire it my way. All right, here's a question from Katie on Facebook. What's your best advice for a stepmom who has to deal with a biological mom who is a narcissist? It's been 12 years. 12 years implies that there are still problems. I'm willing to bet in your dealing with it means that you have to interact, right? Because you're stuck together, and you're stuck together into posterity because you're going to be at weddings together. You're going to be everywhere together. And, funerals, weddings, graduations, and so forth. My best advice is to stand up and not back down. You've likely tried to play ball. When you come in as a step parent, It's hard. It's hard to fit in. You're wanting to be accepted. You're, in all likelihood, wanting to be a good step parent, connect with the kids, and potentially you've been gracious to the biological mom. But that person has been a narcissist. And as you've heard me say before, anytime you're dealing with someone who is a narcissist, or the phrase I use is extreme taker, you have to be firm. You cannot back down. You have to be strong. But what so often happens when we're dealing with someone who's an extreme taker, when we're dealing with someone who's volatile, when we're used to dealing with someone who bullies, what we tend to do is back down. We fear the confrontation because it comes every time and it just gets to be a pain in the ass, and it's easier to just back down, and that's when they win. You cannot be afraid to back down. And you say it's been 12 years that you've been putting up with this shit. And really, in a way, that's your greatest gift, the fact that it's been 12 years, because you know that the way you're using isn't working. It's like that episode of Seinfeld where George says, I've always done this, try to pretend that I'm something when I'm hitting on a girl. I've always tried to pretend to be important, and I've pretended and I've told lies and all this thing. Now I'm just going to put it up with it. So he walks up to him and he says, I'm 35 years old. I'm bald. I have no job, and I live at home with my parents. And my name is George. And she says, well, hello, George. So I'm just going to do the opposite. And I'm betting that what you have been doing is you've been afraid of the confrontation or backing down. And now it's time to stand up. But here's the other thing, Katie. The question you really need to be asking is, what is the role of your partner in this? Has your partner been backing you, or has your partner, your spouse, your husband, been backing down from his ex? See, then there's the weak link, because in a way, it should be a united front, the two of you, in standing up to his ex. And if he is backing down, then in a way, he is choosing her over you. He's choosing to placate her. He's fundamentally saying that her power, his fear of her, is more important than his loyalty to working on a united front with you, in which case the real issue isn't the ex. The real issue is your relationship with your husband or your partner, whatever it is, your relationship with that person. You two have to be united, and you can't back down. You can no longer be afraid of that other person, because as long as you keep caving to a narcissist or a person who you perceive as having the power, they will continue to wield it over you, and they'll run you into the ground. All right, next question. Deborah Silbauer says, how do you rest the vagus nerve? Is that really a thing? Mine is off since I was 4, probably. Psychology question. That's not something that's out of my field of expertise. I'll be very honest with you. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a medical professional. I'm just a person who deals with your own personal problems that aren't medical related, deals with your relationship problems and so forth. If you have another question, I would be more than happy to answer it, though, Deborah. All right. All right.
One here on YouTube is pretty good.
All right. Here on YouTube, are you talking about Norwa?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. This is from Narwalup. I'm finding it difficult to leave my spouse. Specifically, we have kids, and I grew up in a single mother household in the UP, Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And I don't know how to ensure the kids don't have this emptiness I have, okay? Finding it difficult to leave my spouse, specifically since we have kids. I grew up in a single mother household in the UP, and I don't know how to ensure that my kids don't have this emptiness that I have. The answer is you have to heal you. And those of you that follow my show regularly know that you hear me say that there is nothing you can do that will transform your parenting more. Not just in the ways that you can see in the big decisions, but in your style, not even in your style, in your essence of who you are and how you perceive yourself, how you see your children, how you show up for your children, what your fears are. Nothing will impact that more than you healing your past. And the mere fact that you say, I don't know how to ensure that my kids don't have this emptiness that I have. Note the tense of that last verb, have, not had. You admit you presently are empty. Now that emptiness finds its root in your own perception of yourself. That emptiness finds its root in the beliefs that you were taught to believe about yourself and your own perceptions of self. And until that is healed, your children may not necessarily get that directly. It's not like a bug, a virus where they're just going to catch it, or it's in your DNA or something like that. No, but that emptiness you feel is going to impact your decision making, your interaction with your children. Well, what's an example? One example of how my emptiness might impact my children is if I'm using my children unwittingly to get my own love cup filled by them. See, children don't exist to pour love into my love cup. I exist to pour love into the child's love cup. But if I'm feeling empty inside, I might be using the affection that I get from my kids, and I don't mean in some sick way. I just mean the affection or the attention or needing them to console me or spend time with me, or anytime I want to go to something where I might feel insecure, I might bring one of my children along as my security blanket. That's using my child. All of these and more are ways that we might be using our children to fill our own emptiness inside. So then wouldn't it make sense? We can try to just stop doing that cold turkey, but that doesn't solve the problem. The problem is that's still inside. Well, that's just one way that we might be using our children to fill that emptiness. Or if we fear our children having that same emptiness, we might go overboard in pouring love into them. Oh, you're wonderful. Oh, you're good. Oh, you're great. And we might go overboard and do more and more and more. I had a client not too long ago who said, Sven, by the time I was 8 or 9, I was raised by my single mom. And by the time I was 8 or 9, I couldn't trust my mom. I said, what do you mean? He said she was just constantly slathering me in praise and love when I knew I hadn't earned it. Now, we know, love isn't just earned, it's earned for who you are. But he said it was just so disproportionate to any situation. I knew at a young age it wasn't about me, and I didn't trust her words of praise anymore. So after 8 or 9, I just stopped believing it when she said it, just because it was just too much. So the child knew, even if he couldn't articulate it, the child knew that was about mom. That wasn't about me. Something was going on with mom. So that's just 2 examples of someone doing it out of their own sense of emptiness. Narwhal Up goes on to say, I'm doing part of the work to heal myself. The only place I get poured into my cup is from them. And I try really hard to not use them. And trying not to use them is good. But the point is you're trying to change your behaviors. And for those of you who have read my book or listen to my show, trying to change behaviors never changes behaviors long term. If you're just trying to change your behaviors, whether it's in a relationship or at work or with your family, you will always snap back. If you're just trying to change behaviors, until you drill down and change the core beliefs that are driving those behaviors, the behaviors won't stick. You have to change those core beliefs. And that's what my book is for. There's a hole in my love cup. You have to go in and change those core beliefs. But the only way you can actually change them is by getting out the old ones, identifying them, where they came from, what the fuck they are, and the impact they're having on my life and sort of the holy shit moment. That's why I recommend the book very strongly. There's a hole in my love cup. And for those of you that have read that, you need to be moving on to Badass Wisdom, which is the follow-up to that, but in a completely different format, in a 366-day daily meditational, inspirational book. All right, next question. Okay, and again, you can do so many of the things right in raising a parent, but until you actually heal yourself, whether you are aware of it or not, your own shit is infecting your parenting. It just fucking is. All right, next question. Kimberly Cake asks the question, Sven, how do you let go of anger towards your dying parent? The way you let go of anything is to hold on as tightly as you can. I know that sounds, ooh, that's clever. Wow, you're a guru. No, I'm a dope. But we do it by holding on. What does that mean? That means your dying parent, your anger, it has to come out. Until it comes out of you, it's still in. Now, am I saying, oh, you need to go and confront your dying parent? No, I'm not saying that. You don't need to confront anybody, any living, breathing human. What you do need to confront is the parent of your past. The one that still resides inside of you, the one that is still in your memories, and you have all those memories that have emotional charges attached to them. You have to go into that. How? Start writing fucking letters to your parent. that you don't send them. Tell them how fucking angry you are. Tell them how much you hate them. Tell them how much they disappoint you. They hurt you. They whatever, undermined you, betrayed you. Write those fucking letters. All right, much more to come right after the short break.
My best friend made me listen to some podcast, said it had blown her away. So we listened to a lightning round of the Badass Counseling Show together. All I can say is, wow. First podcast I'd ever listened to. Now it's my addiction. If you haven't done it yet, you need to subscribe to the Badass Counseling Show.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the Badass.
And we are back with the Badass Counseling Show. I've got a fresh question here by Erica, who says, before my father leaves, so he stops worrying, how do I prove that I will be okay without him? I'll preface my answer by saying you can prove something, but unless someone else believes it, your efforts to prove something in a way won't matter. So you can do what you can to prove it, but in the end, if he doesn't want to believe it, he won't believe it. Okay? But what you can do, honestly, is just look him in the eye and tell him, Dad, I'm going to be okay. It's okay to go now, Dad. I'm going to be okay. Tell him that. And it's, in a way, it's not your job to stop him from worrying or prove that he'll be okay. But what's interesting is you're wanting to take away his pain, which is nice, to stop his worrying. And all you can do is say, Dad, I know you're worried, and I'm so grateful for all your worry, and I'm worried about all, and thank you for all the love that you've shown me. And I'm a big girl now, and I'm going to be okay. Tell him that. But what's also fascinating is you're worried about his worrying. And so you need to write him a letter that you don't send and tell him why you're worried about him so much. Isn't it fascinating that you don't want him to die worried about you? In a way, it's kind of beautiful. It's sad that he is, understood, but that's okay, Erica. It's okay. And every parent wants to know that their child is okay, but every child, every good child, wants their parent to die in peace. And tell him, it's okay to go, Dad. I'm okay. And that'll be a nice gift. But in the end, if he doesn't believe it, he doesn't believe it. And you've tried, you've lived your life your best way, and he's going to be okay. Okay? I have a follow-up over here. I want to go back to that question by Norwal up over on YouTube. And she started by saying, I'm finding it difficult to leave my spouse, specifically since we didn't have kids, and I grew up in a single mother household in the UP, and I don't know how to ensure the kids don't have the emptiness I have. The part I didn't address was your very first opening, the opening of your sentence. I'm finding it difficult to leave my spouse, specifically since we have kids. You are staying in a situation that is not a loving situation. The mere fact that you're wanting to leave says that this is not a loving home. You may be able to, get along, quote unquote, for the sake of the kids, but the children are growing up in a loving home. And I just want to remind you, children grow up normalizing whatever is shown to them about love. So if they're growing up in a home where mom and dad don't love it, they sense it, they feel it, they hear it, they see it, whether you think they do or not. That means you are normalizing for them. You are teaching them that this is what love is, which means they will replicate this or some near derivative of this in their adult years. They're going to have this relationship or some near form of it. And that means they too will not know love into their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and they won't know why. And it's all because it was normalized for them as a child. So the question the adults need to be asking themselves is, do we want our children to have this relationship when they are adults? And then you have to go deeper into the real healing work of what have I done? What have I done? What needs to be done in my past to heal? And that's what the book is for. All right, next question. There's an interesting comment here from Kathleen Nolan. We had a question earlier about narcissist and how do you interact with a narcissist? In that case, it was my husband's ex, and how do I interact? She's a narcissist, and it's been 12 years. Kathleen Nolan has a take on her relationship with her ex, who is a narcissist, or as I call them, extreme takers. Kathleen says, I refused, past tense, I refused to back down with my ex-narcissist, and he destroyed me for it. ... Wait for it. But I don't regret standing up for myself through the damage left is real. Though the damage left is real. I don't regret it. I didn't stand up. me personally, Sven, I did not stand up to my first ex. And it cost me a high price for well over a decade, particularly with regard to my kids. And it's only been in the last decade plus that we've really begun to repair it. And there are still fragments from the fact that I didn't stand up. And I wish I had. That's why I'm pretty adamant about standing up. And yeah, they'll do what they can to destroy you. But you know what? They're going to destroy you either way. And you got to be tough and you got to be strong. I believe that. All right. Donna asked this question on Facebook. Interesting question. Why would I say to a guy that called me and when he didn't like my answer to a question, he said, go away? I know it's power and control. Why would I say it to a guy? Rob, listen to this. Why would I say to a guy that called me and when he didn't like my answer to a question, he said, go away? Question mark, question mark. I know it's power and control. Why would I say that to a guy?
Apparently he's being dismissive,
right?
And she doesn't really know which way to go with that. Wasn't really sure how to react, maybe.
Yeah. Well, the truth is you stood up for yourself. He didn't like my answer. And the bottom line is, yeah, not everyone's, and that's one of the great things we learn from sports and other things in life is you win some, you lose some. You stood up for yourself. Somebody didn't like it. They said, go away. And it hurts to be left. But the bottom line is you stood up for yourself and you're going to lose some.
Again, she probably regrets standing up for herself in some way.
Yeah,
but she shouldn't.
That's right. You may regret, as Rob said, standing up for yourself, and don't, because you have to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to speak your truth and be you, and knowing that you are going to win some and you are going to lose some. All right, we're just going to take one or two more questions, and then we have to split. Okay. This is a long one. Folks, you have to send in short questions. I'm only going to take this one because this is a new person. I could tell by how they prefaced it in a question previous to this. This is from Tina. I lived in a very lonesome childhood. I was home taught from third grade until I turned 18. I never really learned how to be social and cultivate relationships. So I've been a people pleaser all my life just so I had relationships. Now at 49, I'm exhausted. The people in my life, including my husband, are really only in my life for what I bring to the relationship, giving little or nothing in return. How, capital letters, do I break this cycle and live for me and have healthy relationships? Well, let's take a lesson from the woman who spoke right before you. You say, how do I break this cycle and live for me and have healthy relationships? The woman whose question I answered right before you, Tina, I'm going to pull it right back up here. It was Kimberly. No, it was Donna. And Donna said, why would I say to a guy that called me and when he didn't like my answer to a question, he said, go away? Donna stood up to a guy and said what she really felt, and the guy went away. So, Tina, that's what you need to do. You need to begin to speak your mind and put it out there. Now, that's changing your behaviors, and I'll get to the root issue first. You need to begin to be willing to lose people. See, the reason we become people pleasers is we want people to give us love in return, and we give it to everyone because we can't bear the thought of someone not liking me. And we're so desperate to get love that we need everyone. We're trying everyone. So we're going to give and give and give in every direction. And now you're on empty, right? So part of it is you need to be willing to just stand up for and say what you need, what you want, and not back down. Now that's got to be profoundly scary because the real issue is deep down inside you. You have core beliefs that you believe that say, I don't matter. I'm not important. My voice doesn't matter. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not wantable. And until those voices are actually out of you or more beginning to be out of you, it's too terrifying to put your truth out there. Hell, you maybe not even know what your truth is or who you are. It's because you have all these voices in there that have been there your whole goddamn miserable life telling you that your voice doesn't matter. Your wants don't matter. Your needs, those don't matter. Who cares what you want? And as you've heard me say a million times before, but it never gets old, you got to read the book, Tina. There's a Hole in My Love Cup. You have to read that book because as many other people on here will attest, it will take you into it step by step into your authentic self. And it'll help you get out those messages that you've been taught to believe about yourself that simply are not true. All right, I'm going to take one more question here, folks. One more question. And the reason I'm cutting it a little bit short is because we are starting a counseling episode. Okay, here we go. Thalia Berg, in from Brisbane, Australia. Hi from Brisbane, Australia. Please tell me how to accept being each other's person, but not being together without resentment. Our reasons are solid, but our decision still sucks. How do we accept being each other's person, but not being together without resentment? Not being together without resentment. Double negative there. Being together with resentment. In other words, oof, boy, that's a tricky little one. It's devilish to get your head around. How to accept being each other's person. So you know you're each other's persons, but we're not being together without resentment. Our reasons are solid, but so you've made the decision to not be together fundamentally because the two of you have resentment towards. No. You're not together, and we're not together, and we both have resentment. Our decision sticks, but I resent you for the fact that we're not together. I resent what you did. I need to be apart from you, and I need to be apart from you too. But we resent each other, even though we know we hold the decision. How do you do that? In other words, I still have resentment. We're each other's person. We got to be apart, but I still hold resentment. You know what it sounds like to me, honestly? It's just a little messy enough that what it really sounds like to me is it's love and hate twisted together. It is. It's love and anger. It's like lust, longing, and it's sadness and disappointment and anger and bitterness and resentment. And the simple fact of the matter is, anytime you've got memories with this person who is your person, anytime you got memories and you've got in this case, you have so many interactions with this person, the intensity of knowing they're your person, but obviously there was butting of heads and hurting each other. And so you've got memories that have emotional charges attached to them. And until you do the work of decharging those emotional charges, you're going to hold all that resentment. And I'm willing to bet that the reason you guys didn't work together, even though you knew you were each other's person, is because you guys didn't know how to decharge yourselves as individuals and as a couple. And again, that's what both of the books are for. There's a Hole in My Love Cup and Badass Wisdom, and that's what this podcast is for, and our Community Plus. All of these are to help you begin to decharge all of that by going into it, identifying what the pains are, journaling it out, writing it out, talking it out with, eventually with your partner, but with your journal, with a therapist, or with a dear friend who's able to hear this, such as in Community Plus. But it's decharging that. It's getting all the pain and anger and frustration and rage and disappointment out of you so it's no longer in you. Then it's just a memory. And then I'm not coming in hot into interactions with this person. But you're still bearing that resentment. What that tells me is you have anger inside of you that has to come out of you. I strongly recommend start writing that person letters that you don't send. I fucking hate you so much. I'm so mad at you. And that time you did this, it hurt me. And I was so sad. And you didn't come around. You have to start flushing, because even though you two are apart, you're still carrying around all this anger, and you're also carrying around love, which means you need to be sending them love letters as well. I miss you so much. I love you. And flush and flush and flush. Keep writing those letters. Keep journaling until it's out of you. And the more you do that, you are decharging. You are getting those emotional charges detached from your memories. Well, folks, this was a quickie today. We took about 6, 7, 8, 10 questions today, and it's good. They were good, a wide variety. Thank you so much to everyone who sent in questions. This has been a live taping of the Badass Counseling Show podcast lightning round for all of you who were in it with us live on Facebook and YouTube. It was great to have you here. And to all of you catching us around the world, you can always catch us on almost all podcast channels, from Spotify to Apple to Audible, etc. On behalf of my team, for you around the world, have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by 2-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.